post-game reaction show. The Seahawks, just looking at the box score right now, beat the Falcons 27-20. But really, this game was a tale of two very, very different halves. The first half was incredibly relaxing. As we all know, the Seahawks went into the half up 24-0. They had a 24-point lead and laid a complete dud the second half. So I'm a little frustrated. I'm a little pissed off. I've got some things to vent about, as always. Just for a reminder for anybody who's new to this different show that is different than our Wednesday night show, this is a little bit more of an informal show, a little bit more irrational, a little bit more emotional. So completely different take on Seahawks than our typical game breakdowns on Wednesdays. So with that said, welcome everyone to the show. If you guys actually have any questions throughout the show, feel free to drop them in the YouTube chat. Nathan and potentially Jeff are going to be joining us shortly. So I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. If you guys have any questions, we'll try and get to them. Brian, I should probably introduce you to the show. How are you?
Hey, dude, I'm fine. Seahawks are 6-2. They're undefeated on the road. They're up 24-0 in the first half. Looking like the game I think we had hoped it would be. So all those things are true and don't go away. But, I don't know any Seahawks fan that could watch that second half and not be super aggravated. I mean, it was a very aggravating way to walk out of that game. You give up 500 yards to Matt Schaub. You have multiple offsides penalties. Jadeveon Clowney has been pretty good about that this year after leading the league in offsides last year and being one of the most penalized players. He had 3 today, I think. 2 of them gave the Falcons first downs. So it's pretty frustrating. I mean, that defense is they're bad, man. They're one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And
thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. And I know that sounds so stupid, but I'm seeing so many comments on Twitter, what I consider propaganda, that the Seahawks defense was good today because they had 3 turnovers. That is complete. I've seen multiple comments of that, Brian. I am not kidding. That to me is complete bullshit.
Well, first of all, they had 2 turnovers because that fumble on the goal line from Devonta Freeman was not a fumble. I don't know how they called it a fumble in the first place, and I don't know how they confirmed it was a fumble after the fact. I've seen that replay like 5 times. At no point did I see anything that gave me any indication that was a fumble. And you had Akeem King drop maybe the easiest interception you'll ever get a chance at. So, yeah, I don't know, man.
And I know this, I don't want to focus completely on the defense because although I have frustrations with the defense, I thought the offense was completely pitiful in the second half. I thought that run on 3rd and 6 late in the fourth quarter was one of the most mind-numbingly stupid things I've ever seen this team do. But just to get back to the defense real quick, looking at the box score, they gave up 20 points, but in reality, it's much, much worse than that. They missed 2 field goals. So, say they normally make those field goals. Matt Bryant normally makes those field goals. He's a good kicker. That's 26 points. And also the Falcons offense drove down to the 1-yard line. That, like you said, probably shouldn't have been a fumble ruled on the field. It's likely the Falcons either score a touchdown or, kick a field goal there. I would think they would probably score a touchdown there. So if we're looking at it, I think in a much more realistic lens, the Seahawks defense gave up 33 points to the Falcons today. They gave up 33 points to Matt Schaub.
I don't think you can play that game. I think all you have to say, Evan, is they gave up 20 points to the Falcons in the second half. Like, that's real. That's not conjecture. I mean, I think
almost 500 yards. Almost 500 yards for Matt Schaub. In no world can you claim that to be a reasonable or a good thing. I know yards are not a great indicator towards anything, but it's still unacceptable. Nathan, I'm sorry, you joined the show right while I was ranting about our pitiful defense. How are you?
Good. I don't know. I don't understand why we're mad about this game.
What?
I don't understand why we're mad about this game. This is who this team is. The Falcons offense is pretty good. The Seahawks defense is pretty bad. The Seahawks offense is very good. Pete Carroll is a conservative coach. Like, I get it. I would have loved for them to have turned that 24-0 first half into a 38-42, whatever, shutout. That's not who this team is. And like, at no point has this team shown us that they're anything other than this game. And that's okay. They're very good. Like, why are we mad about this game?
They're very good.
They're a very good team. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see that, dude.
This is the NFL. The NFL
is like
a bunch
super big
of
flaws all across what you just said. I mean, at no point have they ever shown us anything different. The first half of this game, they had 24-0. They looked nothing like what you just said. But you got to admit, that's different than the
everybody who is surprised that Pete Carroll and Brian Schottenheimer took the air out of the ball in the second half to raise their hand. Really though, like, why are this is a good, not great team that did exactly what it always does.
Well, that part, okay. So now we're at the good, not great. I'm with you on that.
They're very good. They're
very good. Is, you're pushing back up again. I mean, I think you've got one of the worst defenses in the NFL, one of the worst special teams in the NFL, which actually played better today. So I give the special teams credit, but they were 29th in DVOA coming into this game. And you've got a good offense that's not been great lately. Like, to be totally honest, they have not been great. And today, it was not a good game plan. And I think even in the first half, when they scored some of those points, a lot of it was coming on the ground. I mean, a lot of it was coming on the ground, and a lot of Russell's completions were like amazing catches by Tyler Lockett and Russell on these really tightly covered throws. It wasn't like the game plan was leading to a lot of wide open receivers.
I get all that. Like, I understand the problems with this team, right? Like, we've had a lot of discussions on, and I'm typically the pessimistic one, but like this is just who this team is and who this team has been for like over a year now. I get that. Like, we can definitely critique it and say the defense needs to be better. They do. They're not very good. The offense relies on Russell to do magic and relies on Lockett to do magic too often. But like, Russell and Lockett are capable of magic. So I get why we would look at this game and be like, hey, all of those things that we know about this team to be true showed up in this game. I don't get why we're angsty about it. I don't get why we're like mad about it after a game where they were up 24-0 at half. Like,
you know why I'm mad, Nathan? Because I had hope. I had hope, and maybe wrongly so. Maybe it's because I'm young and innocent, but I had hope. I had hope that this team would change their ways, correct their path, and learn from their mistakes.
They were up 24-0. Like, what more did you want?
And then to not completely shit the bed in the second half. I wanted them to not take their foot off the accelerator. I don't want this team to go into their fucking turtle shell.
But this is what Pete is. Like, this is the team.
It's just infuriating. And I'll tell you why it's infuriating to me. I actually do think there's a lot of talent on this team. I really do, in terms of like raw names and abilities. I do not. The reason it's concerning to me is I know it's not sustainable. The ultimate goal is a Super Bowl win. What they're doing now is not going to lead to a Super Bowl win. Great. They won the game.
It's not what they're doing, Evan. They're not a Super Bowl team. They're 6-2. This is not a Super Bowl team. If you look at that defense and you tell me, you said they have names. They have names. Ziggy Ansah has a name. He is nothing anywhere close to the player he's been over the course of his career.
Sure.
An empty jersey. You've got Jaron Reed, who's a name. He's played 2 games this season and barely played. Jadeveon Clowney at least has looked like a difference-making player. I think Bradley McDougald was a name because he was a near Pro Bowl player last year. He has been a 0 this year. You've got Tedrick Thompson, who's been a 0. You've got Bobby Wagner, who's a huge name, has been not that good this year. So,
but that's what I'm saying. But that's what I'm saying, though.
Names are meaningless. How are those players looking this year? Forget all the past history. What is the quality of those players? And I think maybe where you and I differ is you think somehow some different coach would come in and all of a sudden those players would be playing at a much higher level.
I'm not saying
I think those players are not very good right now. I just don't think they're very good.
Oh, well, I'm not convinced of that. I think this right now is players are, especially on the defensive side of the ball, are severely underperforming. And you can blame that on.
I actually disagree. So I agree that they have names, and I think that their names are actually in large part living up. Like I know Bobby hasn't been as impactful, but I think he's still very good. Clowney's very good. I think Al Woods has been playing way above his weight or way above what people expected. He's very good at what he does.
He's been playing in line with his career numbers. He's not done anything special this year.
Oh, I don't know if that's totally true.
2 years ago, he was the 7th ranked defensive tackle in the whole NFL by PFF.
How many years ago?
2, the year before last.
Yeah. But like that hasn't been something that he's been consistently done. So it's not fair to say he's been way above his weight. But Al Woods is very good at what he does, and he's doing that, right? And he's having a good year at that. I think the problem is, and Shaquille has had a huge year. I mean, he's bounced back, and like I didn't think he was going to be this good. I think a lot of people wrote him off. I did. The problem with this team, with this defense, is there's black holes, right? And like the whole "you're only as good as your weakest link" thing is really shining through, right? And so, you've got Ansah, who hasn't looked like they had hoped he'd look. Tedrick Thompson has played a lot and is very bad. Marquise, the safety situation is an issue. The corner spot opposite of Shaquille has been an issue. So you have talent, but like that doesn't cover up for the fact that you're starting Marquise Blair and Tedrick Thompson at safety.
And LJ Collier's a 0 as a first-round pick so far this year.
Right. So
Marquise Blair is a bright spot today. I mean, he had a missed tackling open field, but he leads the team in tackles. I thought he had a number of what I thought were impressive tackles, open field plays. Even the tackle at the end of the game, as furious as I was about how things were going, kept the player in bounds. Like, he had an encouraging game. I think that's an encouraging sign. And I think that Bradley McDougald was only on the active roster today as an emergency. I don't think he was healthy enough to play. I think you got to hope that Quandre Diggs is going to be a guy that can step forward and get healthy and play. Like that, I think removing Tedrick Thompson and inserting Quandre Diggs, even if Diggs is just the same mediocre player he has been so far this year for the Lions and not the Pro Bowl alternate he was last year, that would be a massive step forward for this defense. Because, I mean, we were joking a little bit in on our DM group, but I mean, Tedrick Thompson isn't like a step away. He's like 5 steps away. There was a play where it was in the end zone, and I can't remember who was making the play on the ball. It was where God, who was it? Someone knocked it out, and Tedrick was like, I don't know where he was dropping back to the back of the end zone where there were no players, and then he just started at the last second running over to cover in case the ball got knocked out and up into the air. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, run on a straight line to that player, like, and be there for a play. Like, anyway, I am very annoyed about how that game ended. I also, to your point, Nathan, we started this before you got out. I mean, the team won. They're 6-2. They were ahead 24-0. They're 4-0 on the road. Like, these are all impressive things. And, the Rams, for as much as we give them credit, they won by 2 touchdowns over the Bengals today. It wasn't some massive impressive win, and they're 5-3, and they're behind the Seahawks, and they've lost to the Seahawks. So there's a lot of things that are positive, but I agree with Evan that it's very aggravating that this team didn't look great in the second half. I have to say, though, guys, I'm still not convinced in all cases that it's like just the play calling. I think going like the run call on 3rd and 6 that Evan called out, 100% that had to be the play call. And that is just awful, inexcusable, terrible. But I see Russell checking to runs. And I don't know how often that's happening. I can't be sure. So there's at least some question in my mind. That could be coaching as well. It could be that they're saying in these situations, always check to run. Who knows? But given the way the first half went, I mean, the passing offense was not that great. It was okay. The running offense was actually much more, explosive than the passing offense was in the first half. So I guess I just don't know that this was like, hey, this is Pete Carroll. It feels a little lazy and convenient. It just feels like the offense played like crap in the second half. The defense played like they were 0. The defense was nothing in the second half. I mean, the one play was a fumble, which was not a fumble, right?
That second half is not solely attributed to Pete Carroll. I want to make that very clear. Like, this was players on both sides of the ball completely failing to execute. This is coaching, players, everybody except Michael Dixon, who was phenomenal today, deserves, I think, some harsh treatment for that second half. I really do.
I mean, that's fine. You can be mad at him for it, but like, this is what they do. And I don't think this is a this year thing that we've seen this. Like, anytime they get a 24-0 lead, they're going to play like this in the second half. And part of it is coaching, and probably not all of it, right? Like, they're still calling plays. You can still block it up and you can still execute and yada, yada, yada. But like, Pete Carroll came out of the second half knowing he had 24 points to blow, right? Like, he had a 24-point margin, and they played like they had a 24-point margin pretty much. So, I mean, I get it. Like, there's definitely things to criticize with this team. Like, the defense is trash, and sometimes the coaching can be suspect. But like, it's just weird because this is just who this team is, and I feel like if we're not going to enjoy this kind of a game, I don't know how many games we're going to enjoy this year.
Really? After that second half?
Yeah, because who cares?
Okay, so Nathan, hold on. Like, I understand where you're coming from, but it's just factually, for a guy that is evidence driven, it's just factually totally wrong. Like,
what is
looked it up. Just looked it up. The Seahawks have been ahead by 20 or more points at halftime 3 times since 2015. I'm not even going back to their heyday, 2015, right? In those 3 games, they've won 38-7, 36-6, and 37-18. This was not like any of those games. And this was coached by the exact same coach. So you can't tell me that this is just the way this team is. That might be the way this particular team is, but it's not the coaching. And I don't believe that there's evidence to say this coaching staff takes 20-point leads at halftime and coaches them to 7-point victories.
Wait, so what was the stat again? What did you?
20 points or more margin at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
In each of those games.
How many more points did they score in each of those games? Because they scored 3 more today, right?
Well, we could look up that in a second, but like,
because I mean, I'm saying like 20 points or more. Like, did these teams have 31 points at half? Like, I mean, I don't look this game. I'm not trying to tell you this game was like a typical Pete Carroll game. Like,
that's
Pete
what I
Carroll
thought you were saying, though.
No. I mean, it is in some ways, but like, this is a typical Pete Carroll game if Pete Carroll has a bad defense.
Okay, so that's the point. So let me now, I'll go even farther back.
Who is surprised that this defense is bad?
So hold on. So now we'll say 15 points or more margin at halftime. Since 2015, there's been 8 such games. They had one this year against Arizona. They won 27-10. They had 2 last year. They won 43-16, 27-3. 2016, 40-7, 37-18, 36-6, 38-7, 20-3. So again, I don't think there's any evidence to show that this coaching staff routinely coaches large halftime margins to be close games.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that at all. No, I'm not. No, hold up.
I'm saying
this
exactly
this
what this
coaching staff.
Who they've always been.
Hold up.
That's exactly what you said.
This is how this coaching staff coaches with a large second half lead. This coaching staff has not had a bad defense very often. And so I'm not surprised that when they go into this mode, they typically have still won by large portions. But my whole thing is, I get, like, again, I'm not trying to tell anyone that this defense is good. I'm not trying to tell anyone that this team is a Super Bowl favorite. I'm saying that we have known for basically the entire season. If I went into before in the offseason, if I told you this team is going to be 6-2 on the back of a very good offense and despite a very bad defense, no one would have blinked an eye at that. So I just, my whole thing is, I don't get the angst over this. I don't get the anger over this. Like,
because it's infuriating in the moment, Nathan.
I guess, but like,
that's why.
They were up 24-0. That's a hell of a lot better than I expected. Like, you can't say the
really?
game plan was bad.
Really? The Falcons are like one of the worst defenses in the NFL.
24-0 is nothing to sneeze at. That is a
no, it is.
It is. I mean, come on, you can't say 24-0 is like
no. No, I am not. They outperformed in the first half. Kudos in the first half. What'd they do in the second half? What'd they do?
They won the game.
Yeah, fucking barely. They had 84 yards of offense in the second half. Come on.
It's bad, but this is just who this team is. I don't think that should be some. Again, I just don't think this should have surprised anyone. And I don't think it did surprise.
I think that's fair. I mean, and for all the back and forth, I mean, I do agree the team gets conservative when they have large leads. I mean, that they play to run the clock down. I thought that, honestly, if I was to criticize coaching on this, I felt like there were some signals the coaches were giving that they thought the game was over based off personnel. I saw them start to rotate players in. Dwayne Brown comes out. I think that's a pretty big sign. All of a sudden, when they got close, guess who came back in? Dwayne Brown, which clearly indicated he didn't need to be out, but they were protecting him and they thought the lead was big enough, and they were right. But yeah, I think it's hard to keep your edge when you see the coaching staff take the foot off the pedal a little bit. So that's for sure. But I think we're overcomplicating it, honestly. I think we're also trying to confirm some points of view. The defense got run over. Like they really did. I mean, it's that simple. The defense, the offense barely had the ball in the second half. I mean, they were just on the field the whole time. And look, I think we have to spend some time, in a win talking about how they got out to a 24-0 lead. That was the best they've probably looked for a while, right? What were the things? I mean, we saw DK Metcalf actually had a couple of plays that were really nice, and one that he didn't come down with, but was a great move. I think Tyler Lockett, again, 100 yards receiving, 6 catches and 6 targets, was like a magician out there. Chris Carson was running well. I think Rashad Penny had a nice game. I would have, we can hope that he did enough to earn some trade interest, hope. But I thought the offensive line was not particularly good today all the way through. I mean, I think there were some running lanes that were good, but I was pretty frustrated. I can't get away from the frustration. I was pretty frustrated that JaMarco Jones was out today.
That made no sense.
I don't know how you can tell me he's not one of the 5 best.
Like Pro Football Focus, ranked him like over the past 2 weeks, one of like the top 10 best guards in the NFL. I know that's a 2-week small sample size, but he was looking really good in there. I'm shocked that he didn't start at right guard, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I know you committed a few million to DJ Fluker, but it's not like you paid him $14 million a year, I
think the other guy that you got to call out is Shaquille Griffin. I mean, he had a terrific first half. I think the second half wasn't quite as good, but he had, I think, 3 pass breakups, at least a couple.
So I want to hit on that spot because somebody asked a really good question in the chat. So obviously we feel like Marquise Blair, outside of the missed tackle, and Shaq both had really good days today. So Blair, I feel, has really earned that starting, free safety spot. What should the Seahawks do now that Diggs looks like he might be able to play next week and Bradley McDougald might be back? That's 3 starting quality safeties. How does that, matchup pan out? Brian, you want to start?
Go ahead, Nathan.
I mean, they're just going to have to feel it out, right? They're going to have to feel out like that Diggs and McDougald are back doesn't mean that they're 100%. And, Blair had a pretty good game. He's had some ups and downs. I think you hope that Tedrick falls out of this pretty quickly with everyone healthy, but you just kind of have to feel it out between where is Blair really and where are Diggs and McDougald in their health really.
Brian, and you?
Yeah, I mean, look, Diggs is a guy that you hope steps forward, but I think it's also worth just being cautious around, look, the Lions didn't sign Ziggy Ansah, and we were excited to get him, and look what we got there. The Seahawks have picked up a couple guys that we were hoping would step in and be good on a new team and a new defense. Hasn't necessarily worked out in a lot of those cases. Diggs hasn't been playing that well this year, and is injured. And I think he may be out for more than just this week. So I would not put a ton of eggs in the Quandre Diggs basket quite yet. But if you're asking me a different way, if you're saying what's our best chance for this defense to be good enough for the Seahawks to be dangerous in the playoffs, that absolutely involves Quandre Diggs getting healthy enough for he and Marquise Blair to be the starting safety duo. To me, there's no doubt that that is our highest performing potential duo there. And then, I think you got to hope that somebody can step up on the nickel corner spot. I mean, Jamar Taylor did not have a good game today. I don't know if that means Ugo Amadi is going to get another shot at that, or someone else. Maybe they make another trade, try to figure that out. And then you got to hope that, the defensive line eventually, this is the first time all year that I think all 4 intended starters played in this game. And so I thought they did look pretty good in the first half. I thought they were pretty disruptive. I thought the second half didn't look the same way. So, you just got to hope that they come together a little bit. And I don't know that I have a lot of hope that the linebacker crew is going to look significantly different. I think Bobby's playing okay. I think KJ is on the decline. He's definitely on the downside. And I think Michael Kendricks is a great athlete who misses a lot of tackles. He missed more again today. So, I do think Diggs is an important part of how this defense can get better. I don't know how soon he's going to get in there, and I don't know that you can count on it happening. So you just hope that the organization understands this has to be a team that's led by their offense. And I thought this is a team that could also count on their special teams, and for them to be the worst special teams or one of the worst in the NFL is crazy to me. Today, they were not one of the worst. Michael Dixon had a good day. Jason Myers actually hit a kick that you weren't sure he should make. That turned out to be, I think, an important kick. So you take it and you move on.
Brian, one question we haven't hit on, and I know you have to drop in a sec, so we'll end on this question, but I'm seeing it a lot in the chat, and it's a topic we haven't covered. Justin Britt is probably out for the season based on the report from Rap Sheet earlier. It looks like it might be an ACL. We're not sure. Brian, how big is that loss?
I don't think it's that big. I think that Joey Hunt can fill in for a little bit. I do believe it. Well, I guess I'll caveat it this way. Ethan Posick was put on IR a few weeks ago, and the coaching staff talked about it as if they were relatively certain they were going to be able to get him back off of IR later in the year. If he's able to come back, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Seahawks are better off with Ethan Posick at center than they were with Justin Britt. I don't think Justin Britt has been particularly good this year. And, so I think Posick could be the center of the future, and I think that's okay. So, and I think Joey Hunt can manage for a little bit. Now, the Seahawks' next game is 49ers, right? Oh, no, it's the Bucs. Okay. So they have a game against the Bucs. I think they could survive the Bucs. If they have to go against the 49ers with Joey Hunt at center, I mean, that 49ers game, probably no matter who's at center, is going to be tough. But, that's the game that we'll have to really find out.
Nathan, what's your take?
I mean, I don't know. The opinion on Britt has kind of swung pretty wildly. He was legit bad at right tackle and right guard. He's been pretty consistent at center. I mean, he got that Pro Bowl alternate nod that first year, which was not particularly well deserved. And I think fans got their hopes up. And so you've had this kind of like whiplash on him. He's an okay player. I think the real question is going to be, how good is Joey Hunt? I've never been particularly impressed, but I also think that he's probably played better than I would have expected generally. So, if they can stopgap until Posick comes back, they're probably okay. I don't think it's a huge loss, but it's just about how far down they're going to fall with whoever plays behind him. And obviously it leaves them a lot more thin, which is always a problem.
Got it. Hey, well, everybody, we really appreciate you guys tuning in today's post-game show. We're going to wrap it a little bit early. Brian has a Halloween party to host Nathan has football to watch the rest of the day, and I have Call of Duty to play. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, Spotify/HawkBlogger, you can subscribe to the show. You can always donate on patreon.com/HawkBlogger. There's a million different ways you can support the show. Even just sharing it with a friend is super, super helpful. So we appreciate everyone tuning in today. Again, we will be back on show this Wednesday, 8 p.m. Pacific time, breaking down and previewing the upcoming home game against the Bucs. So with that said, the Seahawks are 6-2, and they go into a big week against the Bucs. We're all looking forward to it. With that said, we'll see you guys on Wednesday night. Go Hawks.